Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on when you are listening and watching us. Thank you for being part of the Materials.Business Podcast. My name is Monica Hernandez, and I'm here with you today. And I have a super special guest, Bisila. Thank you so much for being here.
It is a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
So today we are going to talk about entrepreneurial and how do we get to that stage? How do we jump? Sometimes it's very frightening, and she has done an amazing job. And that is why we wanted to bring her so badly into the podcast to showcase that side of how can women get to that stage to, okay, I'm an employee, I'm fine, but I want the next in my career. What is that next look like? And then she's the perfect exemplification of entrepreneurship in a society. So without further ado, Bisila, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Well, I am Bisila Bokoko. I was born in Spain. My family comes from Equatorial Guinea in Africa. And I grew up and studied law and economics. And then I was very fortunate to get an internship that allowed me to be in international business and learn a little bit about how you take products from local to global. And that took me to New York. And this was kind of my dream city to live. And I'm still here after 24 years. My career took me to also be the executive director of the Spain U.S. Chamber of Commerce. And this was a big jump in my career, also helping corporations from Spain to do business in the United States and helping American corporations to do business in Spain. So both sides. And something happened and I was fired. And this was the decision that I made to jump into the space of entrepreneurship. A very scary place, but I'm still doing it. And basically, that is all about me. I'm a mother, and I have two children. My daughter actually is in STEM. She's studying computer engineer, and I have a son, and he is studying communications. They are 21 and 18, and I'm married. And yeah, and I also love to do solidarity projects, and I help to build libraries in Africa. Is one of my passions, and this is all about me.
Amazing. A lot of people struggle when we ask them to introduce themselves because they are like, what do I say? But what we find is that the entrepreneurs, it's very easy for them to jump in and say, hey, this is me. And it's because they have trained themselves with that pitch, right? So thank you for that. It was very nice. So taking local to global, how was that jump? What are some of those challenges, opportunities that you learned throughout the process?
Well, I think it's fascinating because it's all about the mindset. A lot of companies, they only look at the radar of what is only around them. And when they start the business, they only have that perspective. And I learned that it doesn't matter the size of your corporation or your company, or could be a startup, you still can think global. You can act locally, but think global. And I think through technology right now, we have the opportunity to really be global. When I started in international business, was super complicated because we need to think about the different forms to ship everything. There was so many rules on the engagement. These contracts were completely difficult. It was not so easy to get the products from A to B. Also, how do you market yourself and you get known in the market? A lot of people didn't have websites. We only go with catalogs. I'm talking about 24 years ago. It's not so far away, but we did so many things so fast and everything changed. But I remember when I have to go from one meeting to another, just showing catalogs to show products and try to attract business for the companies that I was representing. And I learned a lot of the things and some of the biggest mistakes that people make. And the first mistake is sometimes don't be confident. A lot of people feel small because there is a small company, there is a family company. And I have noticed that when women represent, and I didn't have the opportunity to meet too many women, but when I met them, they always felt small when they were in front of someone. And we have a problem really to sell ourselves. When we do a pitch, we play small. So this is one of the biggest mistakes I have here, because I have met women extremely talented that they have amazing companies, but they feel afraid to really kind of express what is the company about. They always try to look like they're small. And another thing is like not adapt culturally to the market. You need really cultural intelligence to go to another market. And that is something that everybody could learn. It's not only people who we are hybrids, like you and me, that we could be from different countries, we speak different languages. I think this is also something that you can train for yourself. And I think that is very important to read about the culture, to understand what is the issues that it might arrive. Because I have seen many deals not closing, not because the product was not okay, not because the price was not the right price. It was mostly because the cultural differences. Sometimes people lose things in translation. It is not about the language, but it's about the culture, to understand with who you're talking to and what are the things that are really important for the other person. There is different rhythms also in the negotiation. And some countries that we need so much context, really. For example, the Latino culture, we like to talk a lot. We don't like to speak about the price first. We feel that we should leave that for the last. And we don't feel so comfortable talking about money. And in other cultures, money is the first thing. In the Anglo-Saxon countries, it works completely different. First, tell me how much it costs and how can you do business immediately. Nobody wants to know if you have children, if you're married, or where you go on holiday. And in other cultures, in the Spanish culture, for example, we ask these kind of questions. We need to make business with the people who we love and we like. And in other contexts, it's different. So I think it's very important to understand the culture when you do business and when you go global. That's the things that I have learned through my journey.
That's amazing. And you have touched in points that are very peculiar in our audience. And one of them is feeling confident and being able to show that. And is there a fine line between being confident and showing up and being arrogant? And then I guess for what I have heard, other women coming into the podcast, it's like, oh no, we shouldn't do that because that's arrogant.
I think the perspective is that what do we understand for arrogance? Arrogance is that you are confident that your product or you are talented and you know what you're offering is good. I mean, why we feel that is arrogant to really embrace that you're good? Why we are so afraid to say that we're good on something? I believe that arrogance is when you feel that you're above everybody else. But to acknowledge that you are good, that from my perspective is not arrogant. And I think we need to change that. Arrogance is when I believe that, you know what, I am the best. No one is better than me. That's different. And it's different to say, you know what, I know I could deliver. I know my product is good. And when you say that with confidence, because you make your work and actually what gives you the confidence is do you know that you know? And that's different.
So you are not showing, you absolutely trust in that feeling that I know this because I have done it and I did my homework and I know this works or I know my product is good rather than I think it can be.
Yes, exactly. And actually, what I have also seen is that most women, we get the confidence from other people, other women. When somebody tells you, you know, why you don't do this, Monica? I'm sure that you will be great doing podcasts. It gives you that kind of approval. We need always that external approval. So I think that because since we are kids, we learn to get the external approval. We don't feel so confident, and sometimes also we suffer from perfectionism. It happens that when men want to do something, they don't mind to get it wrong at the beginning. I mean, they know that getting it wrong at the beginning is part of the journey, and they learn better from the failures, and they have a different relationship with failure. We don't have that relationship with failure. For us, it's like it's the end of the world, and we make a big deal of it. And sometimes that's exactly why we withdraw of doing a project, or we even don't start it. And this is what keeps us afraid from going into entrepreneurship, because why if I not succeed? And I always ask, what is the worst that could happen? At least you try. And it's just one step more of your journey.
It's and that's magical what you said. I like when I used to read and listen to Ryan Leake, and he studies failure. He has dedicated his career to study failure, and he loves failure. And he said exactly what you described. It's how can you know for sure that you're not good at something, or that the 3 million scenarios that you played on your head will happen unless you actually do this step.
Mm-hmm.
So that relationship with failure, we need to be more gracious with and then embrace failure as part of learning.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, amazing. So we have touched about entrepreneurship and then going some of the steps of people going global. What are some of the tips that you see, okay, as a woman in this area, we can embrace this and then we have those attributes. You only have to equip them. What do you think those are?
I mean, the first thing is try to find out what is the emotion that you're looking for behind entrepreneurship. For me, it was very clear two things. Number one, I didn't want to get fired again. That was for sure. I didn't want to have this feeling of, look like a puppy dog that day and feeling hopeless. Number two is freedom. Most of the time, what we're looking for when we want to go into entrepreneurship journey is freedom. So if that is the emotion that is behind it, go for it. What I have found also is that sometimes we not doing that because we're trying to find security. Security and safety is an illusion of the mind, because nothing is safe. We have found out, like humans, that so many things are uncertain. We don't know for sure that what is going to happen. Who would tell us that we would be almost 2 years locked in a house, and would not be able to get into a plane, and that we will be doing exercise with a computer all day and having meetings and working 8 hours just from home. A lot of people didn't even picture that before. And I think this is also one thing that you have to realize, that you have to really embrace uncertainty, because that's the norm. If you really want to control everything, if you're a control freak, going into entrepreneurship could be very painful. So I think that this is the first thing for me, is that entrepreneurship is a self-knowledge journey. You have to know yourself. What is your why? Why are you doing this? What are you looking for behind it? If you really have that clear and you have a focus and clarity, then you will do it. You will get up in the morning, and when the times are tough, and they're going to be tough, you will still find that motivation and that passion to get out of the bed and keep doing it. And even if your accounts are empty, you will keep doing it, because there is something that is bigger than you that is behind that. That is the emotion that you're looking for. And this is actually what moved me. What moved me is that today I have the possibility to speak with Monica, even though that my schedule was switched off, because I have that freedom that I could change everything. If I was working for a corporation, probably I would not have been able to be so flexible today to have this meeting with you and everything that, to change meetings and everything. So that's really what, for me, it's great about entrepreneurship, is that I could spend time with my family, that I could travel, I could go. Like last week, I was in Iceland with my friends, and it's something that I could do because I have the time. So you want to be the owner of your time, then you are an entrepreneur. You are creative and you don't like orders, then you're an entrepreneur. So this is why I think it's a self-discovery journey. You need to know yourself. And this is the first thing. The other things are only logistics. It's only technical. This you will learn. It's in all the books. You know basically the steps. And also be surrounded by the people who really, really encourage you, your cheerleaders. I mean, if in your family, if in your circle, it's people who are scaring you all the time, telling you why not you should do something, then you will not be able to succeed. But surround with people that they will always remind you why yes, why you should do what you're doing. And then everything is becoming much easier because you need that support system.
I really love what you're saying because it really resonates with what I say all the time. You need to surround yourself with people that propel you. But this is a journey on discovery and self-discovery, and then listening to your body and to everything that happens around. And sometimes when people see successful women in business like yourself, they picture, oh, that must be so easy. That is exactly my reaction. It's like, well, let me tell you something. So that self-discovery requires work, isn't it?
It is a lot of work. I think it's an inner job and requires so much personal development. And I really have like hours that I dedicate maybe 2 to 3 hours a day, really in myself to really encourage myself to keep going. Like I have habits and rituals that helps me to support what I'm doing. And I think this is one thing that you have to really do is to create habits that works for you like an entrepreneur. And it's a huge work because to allocate 2 to 3 hours a day for yourself requires when you have a family and when you have other interests to really get up early. For example, it works in my case. I'm better a morning person. Other people go to bed very late, but they need to have that time. I need to have that time to get the sources of inspiration that I need, to listen to different podcasts, to read different books, to do my affirmations, to make my goals clear, to find that clarity. Because sometimes you're always asking yourself, what is the next step? And you need to really put your objectives very clear each day. I also, as an entrepreneur, not everything that requires my business I like. I have to do many things that I don't like, particularly when you're a solopreneur, because at the beginning you're a solopreneur and then maybe you have a staff. But when you just started, you see, I always say I eat the frog on Mondays and Tuesday because that's the tough days when I have to eat the frog. What I don't like, I do it then. And that, like, I have a structure to start doing the things that I really love after Wednesday because there is many things that you don't like to do. And in your job, you have to do it. I mean, you have to play the orchestra at the beginning with all the instruments. Eventually, when you grow, you might be lucky to have a great team. And right now, I'm very blessed to have a team that helps me and that liberates me from eating so many frogs. Now I eat less. But all has I mean, I've been 10 years basically in the game. And it has not been easy. I could not say that it has been easy, but it has been fulfilling, which is one thing that is important, is fulfilling for you. Because then even if it's not easy, all that tears, all sleepless nights, it makes sense.
Definitely. You find your why, like
Yes.
you said before. Amazing. So we've spoken about that side, and you told us a little bit about the rituals that you do, dedicating time for yourself. Actually, my son and I just listened to one of your podcasts
Oh,
on self-care and a meditation, and we followed through, and he was like, oh, that's so nice. How she narrates it, it's so good.
thank
And
you. Thank
yes,
you.
it is amazing. So in this, specifically in the technical, and perhaps you can see it with your child, with your daughter that is in STEM, we are so mind focused that it has to be this way it is. And sometimes we forget to listen to our hearts. And we can't because we are engineers, we are scientists, we are mathematics, but if we have that disconnection, I found it's very difficult to make any success of anything. So having someone successful like you in entrepreneurship, women that has broken barriers all around, saying that this is important is very huge.
Yeah.
So you told us a little bit about those tips, but how did you start it? How did you realize I need this me time?
Well, I think because I got to a point that I was so burnt out, and I also been trained to think mostly about procedures, logic, analytics. I studied law with economics, but being, helping corporations to do business, they want to make money. And this is all they care about. They care about the profit and the efficiency and all of this. So for me, it was very difficult to understand how self-care was important. For me, it was work 16 hours a day. And the more you work, the more results you will have. And 1+1 was 2. And to shift that mentality takes time. And even for an engineer, my husband is an engineer, so I know how he thinks, and it's very difficult. Everything is trial and error, and everything has a procedure. So I think this has been very helpful also, because I think that when you mix the part of being, let's say, emotional, spiritual, with being analytical and understanding the world digitally too, that is really a win-win situation for everything. So I think it's because I collapsed mentally. It was a time that I was so frustrated, and it's like nothing works. Why is not working? And you keep trying and keep trying. And even though that I have endurance to, failure, of course, you need to have it, and you develop a muscle. I forgot to put myself first. And I forgot that if I'm nurtured, and if I nurture myself, then I'm better nurturing others. And at the end of the day, everything that I do is to serve others. I could not contribute to make this world better anywhere you do it, because engineers make the world better, mathematicians, every one of us, we do something for people. If you sell fruits, whatever you do, you are contributing to someone's well-being or someone's dream. And in this case, if you not have time for your own dreams, if you don't have time to care for yourself, how do you expect then to do others? So I realized that I was emptying my cup all the time. And this is very common on women. We want to be super women. And there is not such a thing as superwoman. I don't want to be a superwoman. I don't want to be a Wonder Woman. I want to be a woman doing wonderful things. That's it. But I'm still a woman. And I think this complex of Wonder Woman, it's very crazy for us, because we're trying to be great mothers. We try to be performance at work. We're trying to be good partners, good friends, good daughters, help everybody around, take care of our homes. And on top of that, get education, go to the gym, look great. How you do that, for God's sake? So I think that we put so much pressure on ourselves that then I realized, like, okay, why if, and I think that Robin Sharma, which I love his book, the 5 a.m. club, helps me. And then I realized, okay, why if I get up earlier and I use that time for myself? So the first 3 hours of the day is my time. And it helps me, because then I could be a better mother, because I already deal with myself. I don't look at my phone the first thing. So I don't act in reaction mode. I respond to life. I don't react to life, which is different. And that helps me, because if I go for a walk in the morning when I get up and I have the opportunity to see the sunrise early in the morning, I feel better. You have some sunlight, you do your movement. I think exercising is not only because you want to look great, it's also healthy. All the neuroscience is saying that it helps you to just have your brain work better. So I do that. And then when I do my writing and I write my wishes and I do my affirmations and my gratitude notes, also I'm connected with myself. So if you allocate 30 minutes of your day for that, and if you want to meditate or I dance or I do something that only I could do for myself, and that already gives me a high vibration mood. I'm already happy. So the moment that I sit on my desk, I'm super happy. So whatever happens, I'm like, whatever, you know, I'm okay with that.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And it is so true. Anything, if you think about nature, anything healthy in nature transforms. Even
Yeah.
the trees, they can't move. They're
Yeah.
still there, but they transform throughout the seasons, throughout age, fruiting, or whatever is the case, they transform. And sometimes I have a difficult time with the word balance. Like when
Yes.
people ask me, what is that work-life balance? And I'm like, I struggle to swallow because balance is like a steady. Everyone, we got balance. Nobody moves. Like that is it's not happening. So a better term is like, how do you effectively manage everything that
Yeah.
is in your life? And for you, it works dedicating those hours of the day to you at the beginning. And then it brought up, it was through discovery again
Hmm.
of looking why. And then you found out doing those things makes you happy. And then you are ready to whatever life throws at you.
Yes. Yes. So I think also you get better when something don't go your way. At least you say, you know what? I already did my part. The rest, I could not control. So you learn also what things you can control is your attitude. You can't do that. The glasses that you put to see the world, that's your job. If you want to put a positive glasses, then you have to be responsible for your own positivity, optimism, and what narrative is in your head. So I think before I was in a narrative that scared me all the time. Oh my God, if this is happening, if this I don't close this deal, how will pay the bills? Oh my God, I have the schools to pay for my kids. I was scaring the hell of myself all the time. And this is really the level of stress that you get into. But if I tell myself everything is going to be great, I mean, I start the day with my mantra, and my mantra is today is going to be a great day. So when I say that 3 times, looking in the mirror, whatever happens, I said, still it's a little bit more time. This is going to be a great day. So I already put that intention out there. And I think the power of intention is huge. So, what is your intention? If you start the day thinking, oh my God, let's see what happened today, it's a completely different, it gives you a different chemistry in the body. That if you say, today is going to be a great day, no matter what, no one is going to take that power from me. And then it's changing because then whatever happens, I am in my place. I'm in the place that I decided to be. It's in a place of goodness. It's in a place of being happy. And this, I could be taking responsibility for that. If you allow that something that don't happen, or someone who don't pay you, or someone who say no to your proposal, is gonna take your power away, then you're gonna be always in a roller coaster. So your mood depends on your business. And also it's good to understand that I am not my business. I am much more than my business.
And I love that. So nowadays, and I spoke with a friend this weekend, and she told me it's so easy to get in that box. Hi, I am Monica. I am an engineer, almost like a robot. But it's like my title is not only that; it goes like this, like that, like that. You can do so many more things because you're doing what you love. Like this podcast, like you said, we could have not arranged the time. I would have not have dedicated time to do this, obviously. But what is that motivation? What is that motto? And then you said something very powerful. How am I going to serve others?
Hmm.
What is that I'm going to leave to the world? And that aligns very much a lot with what I do, what I say, what I be, what I am. So how did you discover that? How did you go to, hey, I want to build libraries in Africa. I want to do philanthropism. And my son asked me, what is that philanthropism thing? The day that we watched or we listened to your meditation. So how did you got to that point? Or what do you think that was the move?
Well, I don't think that I grew up thinking being that I would be a philanthropist at all. I mean, I think because of my condition of the daughter of immigrants in a different country, my main interest was to make money and to create safety for me and my family. So giving to others, even though of course both my parents are generous and they help a lot of people, and it's part of my DNA to help because it's what thing that I have seen at home. I was not thinking about to take this to the next level at that time. But I think it was my trip to Africa, because the first time I put a foot in Africa, I was 35 years old. And I realized that I knew Africa intellectually, but I never really had the experience to be African. And when I went to the continent and I saw these children, and I saw that some of the kids, they never touch a book with their hands, I realized that this could not be. What can I do for that? Because books saved my life. Books has been my teachers, has been my psychologists, my nannies, everything. Because I grew up, my parents worked so many hours. I was by myself most of the time. I have to take care of my little brothers and so many things. I didn't have no one to ask, and the books were there for me. In this case, that's why my motto is, with a book, you're never alone. And I didn't want that kids are alone or they feel lonely. So this is the reason why I decided to create libraries in Africa. And when I decided that, my financial situation was nothing good at all. And I decided to, you know what, how many pair of shoes may I need? Maybe I have to buy less shoes and use that money to go to Africa and take the books or to ship them. And even some people, volunteers, they put it in the luggage and they send books. And you see, you can change one person's life just with one book, because some ideas could come up, something that the motivation that the person needs is going to be there. And I have seen it over and over again. And when I saw one kid that I met with 8 years old, that today he's a pilot because of the books that he was reading in the middle of Kenya in the savannah. Or one of my daughters, I mean, I have a lot of adopted children. Georgina, she's a nurse in Ghana, and she has learning disabilities when I met her. But through the education, she was able to overcome that. And today she's a nurse. So you can change people's lives, and they are changing other people's lives. So that's really what really get me into that road to help people. Because when we talk about philanthropy, we're always thinking about people who are super millionaires. And I think everyone who wants to be a philanthropist could do it. You can just dedicate your time. And I did online classes for classes in the middle of the Amazon for kids that they are in an orphanage. You can do that. You can allocate your time, and you can also give them motivation and share your story. Because anytime I share my story, there is someone in the room who say, maybe I could do that. And this is my way of giving back, because I think I've been blessed. And I think that there is many ways to be a philanthropist. It's not only giving money, because sometimes people don't even want that money. They need that words. They need that you look in their eyes sometimes and they acknowledge that they are there.
You're so right. Sometimes they need acknowledgement. They need that, that we see you, we hear you.
Yeah.
More so than here is a check. So that's amazing. And I also know that you have done some mentorship, like you said, like I have done some classes and some. So what is that mentorship? What do you think it is important? Like perhaps there are some of the newer generations getting into here. And then when we say mentorship or an advocate, they're like, oh, no, that's an old lady talking about things that I don't want to hear. I can just watch a video on YouTube. But why do you think that's something that
I mean, mentorship
perhaps...
is amazing, because I'm being part of a group called Inspiring Girls, for example. It's a group in Spain that is for to encourage girls to go into the STEM careers. And what they do, for example, is to be in touch with women who are in STEM careers and understanding that it's not so scary to be in robotics. I met a girl of 12 years old that she just wanted to go into robotics. She is amazing, only because she was inspired by someone. Also, some women, they feel that maybe they could not be in the military. So we bring women from military for them to realize that also there's women that fly planes, that they do many things. And to take that stigma away that is careers for men and careers for women, they are careers. And you can just do whatever you want with your life. And I think you need sometimes this mentorship. And the mentor is the person who inspires you, is the person who holds your hand and show you by experience what is the steps that the person took. uh, I've been a mentor since 2017, and I was forced to be a mentor because my first mentee for 2 years, he was after me telling me, please, I want you to be my mentor. And I didn't feel that I could be a mentor because, of course, my imposter syndrome was there saying who I am to teach someone or share my experience. But it was interesting because he was my real teacher. And we need to understand that the mentor is two sides of the road because it gives me so much as I am able to give. So she teach me also through my journey what I'm capable of giving her, and she contribute for my growth too. So I think sometimes we're thinking that the mentor is the teacher, but who is the teacher? Because both learn here in the process and also develops a relationship that is unbreakable in time. And I think also the mentor has to go one step further. It is also to open the network to that person. That's what I call always the women ladder. Can we be ladders for success for other women? And this is exactly what we can do. A mentor can make a phone call and just say to someone, yesterday I was speaking with someone and she wants to go into law, but she don't really know what kind of law field going. And I've been mentoring her for 3 years. And then I give her the contacts of three lawyers that I know that are in big firms because she's considering also to join one of the firms, and that they are able to explain her how is their life there. How is the 24 hours in a law firm? So for her to understand and learn that from someone who has been there for many years, and also to understand which fields she could maybe feel better. That conversation is priceless, for someone who is just studying. So I think that we all could be mentors, and we should dedicate the time to listen and to hear to the young generations and to give them guidance. It doesn't have to be something formal, but it could be also informal. I had a conversation in the elevator that changed my life because the general manager of my company was kind enough to listen to me. I was an intern. I asked her some question because I said, oh my God, this is the first time I see a CEO and I met her in the elevator. This is my opportunity. So I had a conversation, and that conversation completely changed my life. So I encourage your generations to really don't look like, this person has nothing to teach me. Just be humble. And anytime that you see someone that inspires you, make the time and go after that person to just have a conversation. And that conversation could be changing your life. Mine, it changed completely. It took me to New York, that conversation.
Wow, that's amazing. And it's so right what you're saying. And you learn so much in the process. Because there is the say, right, that you don't really master something until you're able to explain it to someone else.
Exactly.
So it puts you to the challenge of, do I really know my stuff? So it's one of the check marks that we were talking about at the beginning.
Yeah.
It would be true mentorship.
Yeah.
Amazing. I think I feel like I can talk to you for days. And I think the audience will love that too. Perhaps we've talked about several of the ways that Bisila is, and then takes the world and is who she is. The latest of your comments was the book that you wrote and then just presented. Tell us just a little bit about that in the last time.
I mean, the book has been for me really a beautiful gift in my life, right? Because since I was 8 years old, I wanted to write a book. I always like to write, and I've been writing in my journal since I was 12 years old. And I think writing is something so therapeutical, and it's amazing. And people tell me since 2014 that I should write a book, but I was so scared. And I said, no, I'm not ready. I even considered to hire a ghost writer in 2014. But then it didn't resonate with me. I was thinking, no, it's not really my book. Nobody can tell my story like I can. And I also didn't feel that my story was relevant enough. And that's the reason why the book is called We All Have a Story to Tell, because every story is relevant. And sometimes you hear a story in an airplane when you go next to someone tells you a story. There is always a piece of wisdom for you in that story. And I learned from so many people, even from cleaning ladies and people, they have stories that are meaningful. And I think because an interview that I had with the BBA Bank project that is called We Learn Together, I was invited to be part of this show. And immediately several publishers approached me and they said, have you ever thought about to write a book? And I said, each day, but I'm not really up to it because I'm scared. I'm afraid of it. And it was a girl, 27-year-old girl, who really convinced me. She was just joining a publishing company. She was 2 weeks in the job. And she wrote me by Instagram. And then she was so when someone has an objective, and she was so young, but still she asked me to breakfast. The next time I was going to Barcelona, and I had breakfast with her. And after that breakfast, she just saw in me things that I could not see in myself. And she told me, but you already wrote the book. I have heard you speaking, and I know the book is already there, and I will help you. And she actually helped me. And in 6 months, the book was written. And when I saw it published, it was amazing. And the book has given me so much satisfaction, fulfillment. I've been traveling through the world presenting the book. Allow me also to see the impact that the book has in some people. So it's just worthy, because what stopped me was because I was thinking, why is no one like to read me? Why people hate the book? That was one of the questions that I was asking myself. And one friend told me, Bisila, do you like every book that is behind you? Because I was with this background when I talked to her. And I said, no. And she said, but they are still in your library, right? I said, yes. And then she said, your book will be in someone's library. So it doesn't matter. If you see somebody's bookcase, just enjoy the process. And then I said, you're right. I'm going to have fun. And I have so much fun really writing the book. And then, of course, it has to be professional. But I write it. And then, of course, I let the professionals do the professional things. They edit it, they cut whatever. I mean, it was 350 pages. At the end, it ended up in 180 because it was the first book and they did the commercial part. But I really enjoy doing it. And now it's out there. And anytime that somebody tells me, oh, I read your book, it's great. It feels amazing. So I encourage everyone that if you really want to write, just do it. Don't worry about what other people think. I'm sure one person will resonate with your message.
That's so amazing. And I leave it with the podcast, right? I invite people just like I invited you. I loved what your speech, and I just went and write to you, and you were kind enough to get back to me, and here we are. And this message will perhaps not resonate to all 1,000 or wherever many people that listens to it, but perhaps with some of them, or not yet, but at some point they will be, oh, I remember those two girls talking about whatever, and they will come back to it. And and find a path. So I agree. Every person that has come here has left a meaningful, impactful message. I love them all. And I love that people are so kind to give their time for others, because time is very precious. So having someone like you being here, giving to this community is very, 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 I'm very grateful.
Thank you. Thank you. It's my pleasure. I enjoy that. I believe a lot in STEM. I want to see more women in the field. I think some women are feeling very lonely in these careers. And I think that the only way that we can change that is when we encourage all of us to be more and more, because we need that. And don't be afraid. And I mean, I think you're changing the world. So this is amazing. I think that if we think this way, instead of just thinking about a career that is going to provide you a way to live, think about changing the world, and the rest will come.
Absolutely. Thinking about the real purpose
Mhm.
more than just paying a bill, because paying a
Exactly.
bill you can do with different things, but really the why, the reason, like you said from the beginning, that is what makes you wake up in the morning and be like, this is good, instead of, oh my God, again, again, I gotta go to the job that I hate. So create everything. We spoke about one of the other panelists that came here, and we said, well, if there is no job for you, create a job,
I
create a company, give other women the opportunity, do podcasts, write a book, do something that brings that meaningfulness to your life.
It's true. It's how it is. Yeah.
Amazing. We are at the end of our time here. As I said, I can speak with you for days. I hope that we can at some point make another episode or come here and talk about something different. For now, thank you so much for coming, for your time, for graciously giving so generously.
Monica, it's my pleasure. Thank you for what you're doing. I think that this is a calling for you, because I know that it requires a lot of time, organization, and everything. But I'm pretty sure that women really appreciate what you're doing. So I think we have to support each other, and I'm here to support you.
I appreciate very much that. Thank you so much, Bisila, and everyone listening to the Material Business Podcast. We'll come next time with a next episode. For now, thank you so much. Keep doing what you're doing. You're doing amazing. I'm going to read your book. I'm going to write you when we finish reading it.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, we'll keep supporting.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you.